Okay, share screen. Okay. Hi, Frank.
Is that Lay? Hi, Lay. I haven't seen you forever.
Oh, it seems like forever.
I know. Everything good with you?
Oh, you know what? Everything is as good as it can be, despite
Right.
despite the world. I would not even have recognized you. You look like you are just loving life.
It's my Papa Smurf look.
Love it. Hey, are you at West Oahu now?
I am, yes.
Wow. How awesome
Yeah.
is that?
Yeah, I've been there a year now, so pretty good.
God, we miss you. God,
I wish, well, you know how to get hold of me. If I can ever help, just let me know.
After this year, Sarah and I just said, you know, we're going to have to just do a coup. Derek keeps inviting that one woman. I'm just like, oh my goodness, you couldn't be as serious as a piece of stone.
Well, both you and Sarah know you can ask me any questions anytime. I'm still yours. So
much. Thank you so much. All right, let's see. Okay, I'm supposed to read something to you here. So it says here, oh, welcome, panel. This session ends promptly after 45 minutes. So I have to thank you ahead of time because I'll just get cut off and we cannot talk story afterwards. It's already, the session's already being recorded. I am going to mute myself because then you're going to be speaking. And then once I'm done with you, I'm going to jump off and stop sharing my screen. And then StriveScan will send you a list of registered students and a transcript of Q&A within a week. And I will not be doing any chatting in the box, whatever. I guess they said that you can see that. And then if you have questions, then go ahead and contact StriveScan. And then again, reminding you, it will end after 45 minutes. And then it's
just for the record, we were originally told an hour. And I mean, until yesterday. Well, I got up this morning and started cutting slides out of the presentation.
You don't need to know that. You don't need to know that. You don't need to know that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and we're doing general financial aid, scholarships, the FAFSA, and CSS profile in 45 minutes, leaving time for questions.
Easy.
Right.
Let's see. Okay, it says here for the students, they will type questions in the Q&A button. I should never press answer live and neither should you. And then it says here, don't press answer live because that will share the student's name and question with the entire audience. So you don't want that. So just repeat the question aloud. And then, oh, it says here, use the X dismiss button to hide answered questions, which I wouldn't even touch that.
I don't even know what it is, so.
And then, yeah, it just says answering student questions. I think they're just saying, go ahead and just verbally answer that out loud and then just scroll down. If you have time, it sounds like you don't. So maybe that's a good thing. They were told that if students do answer the questions, then you will get the list of the information for the students to be able to, get back to them. And you may not get to every question, it says, that's okay. You will receive a transcript of all submitted questions.
Is the expectation that we will respond to those?
I don't know. That is a great question, because what if you get like plenty?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do not know. Okay. So yeah, and then we'll let them in about, I guess they come in. How do I let them in? Ooh, that is a good question. How do I let them in?
God, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, I wonder if I just let them in like I normally would, like on a Zoom, just keep admitting.
I think so. If you click on participants, go to attendees.
And then just go ahead and, oh, there's already somebody raising their hand. Troy Tamura, can't wait to look now. Do I make you a co-host? No, are you automatic? Is that correct?
I think I am.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna try and share my screen right now. Make sure that works. Where are we? Belgium. It's Tuesday. Okay. Looks like it works.
Interesting. All right. Well,
Nikki, how's it, sister?
Good. How are you?
Oh, good to see you. Hi.
yeah. Now, the fact that you guys are already on the panel, does that mean then this already are hosts or facilitators? Hey, guys.
Yes.
Hey, good morning.
Hey.
Gus, this is Nikki. Nikki, this is Gus, my partner.
Hi.
Hey, Nikki. It's great to meet you.
Good to meet you guys too.
Sorry, Nikki. Every time I hear Nikki, I just want to say you're so fine.
That's Mickey. Lay.
It rhymes with Nikki.
Same thing.
Yes, it does.
All right, so I am told that I'm supposed to share the screen and let everyone know about the Strive scanned slide.
Not to interrupt, Lay, but Nikki, Gus, we've had 15 minutes cut off our time.
Oh, okay.
This is not a 1 hour presentation. It is a 45-minute, and it will die at 45 minutes automatically, according to Lay.
Roger that.
So I've spent the morning cutting out at least 20 slides, which means I'm not presenting much of anything anymore. Gus, the scholarships go fast.
Okay.
You've got 2 slides, the standard internet, the UH and HCA, Hawaii Community Foundation, and then our internet buddies, and then the scholarship AHA slide.
Okay.
So I'll call on you. It's kind of right after 3 or 4 of my opening slides. Do that, speak fast. I'll go through everything else I got as fast as I can. Nikki, we'll turn it over to you. The questions will be Q&A style. Actually, Lay, was it in the chat or a Q&A?
It is in Q&A, and then it says here, let me see, do you guys see that, or do you guys see Frank's stuff? Let's see, share screen.
Oh, we
no,
have students on this presentation?
we will be having, no, just for the students watching. Yeah, they said even if you're not sure, I can just read it out loud, because you guys don't see it. But it says here that the students will type questions using Q&A. So don't press answer live, because that will share students' names and the question to the entire audience. So just read it out loud. And then if you guys know how to use the X dismiss button to hide answer questions, you can do that, or you can use the type answer button. But make sure you check send privately. And you don't have to go through every question.
We'll save the questions to the end. I'm not going to pause anywhere. Minimal time for that. And I do have a slide to refer them to FAFSA.hawaii.edu for further questions. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, we got 1
there's
minute.
like 70 people,
Oops.
75.
They're listening to us right now.
No, they're not in yet. They better not be in.
I think they are.
You think they are?
They are. We're recording.
Oh, it says
Oh, we
here-
started the recording button?
Yeah, it's been recording.
Well, thankfully, I'm really good looking.
Oh, I thought it was just recording us. Nikki, I swear we had this conversation when we were doing this from the Pacific. I don't let anybody in, they're already in.
Yep. Somebody just chatted. We're in. They've been, yeah.
Welcome, everyone. Awesome. All right, then I don't have to do other than jump off. So, okay. This is stop sharing my screen. Okay, so if I stop sharing my screen, it says here, this will stop other screen sharing. Do you want to continue?
I think if you make either make one of us like a co-host or a host,
Oh,
then it, I think you should be okay.
all right, I will make you co-host. I will give you guys the power. Okay. Okay. All right, I get all three of you guys co-host abilities. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, or should we just start and we're good?
Gus, you gonna do the intros?
Yeah, you want me to?
Yeah, second screen. Once I get off of this and welcome, I'll turn it to you, intro.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're ready to go.
We good?
So you want me to, oh, I should stop my sharing screen so you guys. Okay.
I don't think you're sharing screen, Lay.
Okay. All right.
Now you are.
Okay. So I want to stop that.
Unless you want to go through that at the start.
Do
No,
I?
that was for us actually.
Okay. All right. So students, this is for you. It's how you ask questions. And welcome, by the way. You can use the Q&A button to type your questions. And make sure your camera and microphone are off. You can sign up for more sessions. You see the information there, and this recording will be available. So I'm going to leave it now for Mr. Frank Green. Take it away.
Okay, let me get back to sharing my screen. Tech stuff is going to be the death of me. Aloha, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Financial Aid Basics CSS Profile session for the 2021-2022 award year. We've got a ton of information and not much time, so we'll get through what we can. We want to make sure that we leave time for your questions at the end of the session. So again, as instructed by our facilitator, please post your questions in the Q&A. We will not get to them until we get to the end, but we will leave time at the end of the session to answer as many of your questions as we can. For introductions, I'd like to call on my favorite DJ, Gusty Gus.
Aloha mai kākou, everybody. My name is DJ Gusty Gus. I work for Hawaii P20 Partnerships for Education. And I'd like to introduce to you your honorable presenters for the day. First of all, we got Nikki Chun. She's the Director of Undergraduate Admissions for California Institute of Technology. She's rocking the house all the way out there in Caltech land. Wow. She came all the way over here to rock the house with you guys.
I did. It was so much traffic.
And finally, I'd like to introduce to you guys the godfather of financial aid himself. He's so great. He has his own DJ, comes around to every one of his presentations to engage each and every one of the students and parents who are in attendance everywhere in the state of Hawaii and across the continent of the United States, because we are broadcasting live right now. It is so beautiful. The godfather of financial aid himself, Mr. Frank Green.
I appreciate that, DJ Gusty Gus. It is one of the things when you hang around in financial aid long enough. I've been in for about 30 plus years now. A couple things happen. One, you get old. Okay, I can live with that. But the good part is at my station in life, I do get to travel now with my own DJ to do my introductions. So real quick, let's talk about what financial aid is. The simple answer here, if it's not coming out of your bank account, then it's probably considered financial aid. We'll generally group that into 4 different categories: grants and scholarships, and then employment, as in college work study, as well as student loans. Our focus here today, and your focus for the next month or so, really needs to be on grants and scholarships. We won't even talk about student loans or employment today because we want you focused on the free money. That's the good stuff. the grants and the scholarships. Where does it come from? Largest single source is going to be the federal government, followed by the state government, and then followed by the institutions or colleges themselves. On top of that, we have private sources, which would include charitable, civic, and church organizations, employers, unions, and my favorite, individuals. We love grandparents. Ask grandma and grandpa if they can help pay for school. Where else do you look for financial aid? Well, as you are starting to search for your college that you plan on attending, and you're looking at academics and you're looking at admissions requirements, make sure you're paying attention to their financial aid page as well. Institutions have their own money, their game, their rules. They will use it how they see fit to fulfill the mission of their institution. So be sure and check their financial aid pages to see what they have and what the requirements are. What do you need to do to try and get a part of that money? I guarantee you're going to have to submit the FAFSA, but there may be additional documents and additional applications that are required as well. Make sure that you are checking with your high school, college, and career counselor. They have the latest of the latest information. I don't work at the high school level. I work at the college level. They know things that I don't even know about until a student comes to my school with a scholarship from Campbell High School and the money comes in. So be sure and stay in touch with them, touch bases with them regularly, pay attention to their communications. When we start getting into scholarships, you're going out on the internet. I want to give you one quick warning on the internet. Watch out for scams. Unfortunately, about 80% of what you're going to find on the internet is going to be a scam. They're slick, they're good looking. Biggest tip I can give you is if there is a fee involved in a scholarship search, something is wrong. Get out of there. This is meant to be a free process in looking for scholarships and applying for financial aid. So I'd like to turn it over to Gus real quick here to talk about scholarships.
All right. So yeah, lots of scholarships out there, guys. Scholarships are free money. That's really why we want to be pushing scholarships for you guys. The University of Hawaii system, if you guys are thinking about going to the University of Hawaii system, all 10 campuses, they have their own set of scholarships. You guys can go ahead and check out the system scholarship app at hawaii.edu tuition/scholarships. And then we want you to actually look at different institutional sources first. So wherever you're thinking about going to college, take a look at the different scholarships that the institutions have first. We want you to start there. We want you to start local, then we want you to go national. And if you're in Hawaii, one of the greatest sources for scholarships is Hawaii Community Foundation. Hawaii Community Foundation, almost 270 different scholarships, only one application. The beautiful part about it is it will tell you what scholarships you're eligible for based on how you answer your profile. So about 270 different scholarships, one application for you. We want you guys to start Hawaii Community Foundation as well. From there, if you're Native Hawaiian, the largest source of financial aid in the state of Hawaii is Kamehameha Schools. You can find their scholarships at ksbe.edu. Another scholarship site is powahi.org. They are the nonprofit arm of Kamehameha Schools Bishop Estate. They are a nonprofit organization with, again, 70 different scholarships, one application. So I love it when you can fill out one application and have 70 chances to get free money. From there, there's other sources on the internet that we want you guys to go. So like I said, start local, go national. Fastweb.com is a search engine that I use for different scholarships, smaller scholarships. It's really helpful to find some of the focused on programs, different programs of study that you're looking at. FinAid.org is another scholarship engine. And then of course, ScholarsApp.com is a great local source that they have micro scholarships, which are really helpful. And from there, we want to tell you guys about,
Thank you, Gus.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go, sorry.
From there, we want to tell you guys about the Native Hawaiian Scholarship AHA. These are going to be virtual webinar events. The first webinar is going to start on October 22nd. That's next week, 6:00 p.m. There's going to be 3 events going forward, one in October, one in November, one in December. But the cool thing about the Native Hawaiian Scholarship AHA is that it brings together all the scholarship opportunities for Native Hawaiians in one place so that you can meet with the presenters, get helpful hints on applying for the different scholarships, and finding out exactly when the deadlines are so that you guys can get prepared to apply for these different scholarships. So the Native Hawaiian Scholarship AHA next week, October 22nd at 6:00 p.m. You can register at www.nhea.net. And we'll put that in the chat right now for you so you guys can find that information.
Excellent. Appreciate the information, Gus. Thank you very much. I'm going to move on to the FAFSA. Again, we do have limited time, so we're not going to go through the whole thing, but I just need to start off. Why do you submit the FAFSA, which stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid? You submit it because it's the primary document used to determine a student's eligibility to get money. So it is the only required document for all federal funds, but it will also be used for state as well as institutional and private funds as well. So everybody's going to use this. Get it in early. When do you do it? Now. FAFSA opened up on October 1st, so we're already 2 weeks into this season. The system has stopped crashing, so things are working pretty smooth right now. We do recommend you get this in as soon as possible. The big deal here is that some of the money that is out there is limited. If you get your applications in late, you're going to miss an opportunity for funds that you might have been eligible for. Get it in early, and at least you're in the game for all funds that you might be eligible for. How do you apply for FAFSA? Step one is you're going to need to get an FSA ID. This is basically your electronic signature. It is what you will use to start the FAFSA, as well as sign the FAFSA having completed, and you will use it to sign every other federal financial aid document that exists out there. It is your FSA ID for life, so you only get it once. Every student must have their own FSA ID, and one parent needs to have an FSA ID. Parents, if you've already got an FSA ID, maybe with an older child that's already in college who did financial aid, you're set. You will use that same FSA ID. The website to get your FSA ID is fsaid.ed.gov. This is your opening screen. It will have you create a username and a password. That username and password is your ID. You're not going to get anything in the email. Once you've got it established, it is your username and your password that then becomes your electronic signature or your FSA ID. Once you have your FSA ID, it's time to start the FAFSA. You will go to FAFSA.gov. Please make sure that you are typing in gov.gov at the end of it. This is a government site. This is a free process. Again, there are scams out there that will look an awful lot like this, but charge you money at the end of the whole thing. So don't let that happen. Make sure you type in FAFSA.gov. Click Start here. This is your opening screen. Student, you will start the FAFSA. Type in your FSA ID, meaning your username and your password. That will get you into the form. There are always 2 FAFSAs open and live at any given time. On the right-hand side is the 2021 FAFSA. That's for our current students. It's not the one you want. You want the one on the left-hand side in the dark blue box starting for 21-22. So make sure you do the correct FAFSA, otherwise you're going to end up doing 2. Okay, one's for practice, and then you've got it down when you do the correct one. Again, 21-22 is the FAFSA you want to do. I just want to look real quickly at some problem areas that we encounter in the FAFSA. This is one of our first ones. This has to do with selective service. All males in the United States are required to register for selective service between the ages of 18 and 25. For many of you students who are now 17, you are not yet registered with selective service because you can't. You're not 18 yet. By the way, females are totally out of this game. So once you click female, the other questions will disappear. If you click male, it will say, have you registered? Select no, and then select yes to the last question that says register me. What will happen is FAFSA will, when you turn 18, forward your information to the selective service. You are now eligible for financial aid and you will be registered with selective service. This is the other area we've been having a little bit of problems. It has to do with your high school. Students have been typing in their high school, their city, their state, and it crashes. To avoid that, here's the fix. Leave the high school blank. Do not type in your high school. Type in the city, type in the state, and then click on the dark blue search box. It will bring up a list of high schools in your city. Find your school, click select on the left-hand side. It will move the information onto your FAFSA, and it will not crash. Dependency questions, starting off with, do you have your own children? Do you have other dependents? Are you active duty military, armed forces? Are you a ward of the court or in foster care? Are you an emancipated minor? Or are you in a legal guardianship? none of these apply, then you will need to provide parental information. Which parent is always a question. Obviously, if you live with mom and dad, your biological parents at home, then you will be providing information on both mom and dad. If there is a situation with a divorce or separation, then we need one parent's information and only one parent's information. How do we know which parent we want? It's real simple. So don't overthink this and don't complicate it with tax forms and divorce papers and things like that. Just ask yourself, who do you live with most of the time? That's all I want to know. That determines which parent you will report. So once you've determined that, just as an example, you live with mom most of the time, then you will be reporting information on mom. If mom has remarried so that there is a step parent, then you must include the step parent's information as well. But in my example, dad's information would not be reported anywhere on this form at all. It's strictly mom and a step parent if mom has remarried. We skip this. This is what I just explained to you. And again, don't overthink it. I don't care what the tax papers say. I don't care what divorce papers say. Who do you live with? Once we get that, parents will put in their marital status, month and year. We want information on our parents. And by the way, students, you no longer have moms and dads. Sorry. You now have parent one and parent two. Who is parent one? I don't care. It's up to you. You can make mom parent one and dad parent two or switch them. Just stay consistent. So if you start off here and you provide me mom's information as parent one and dad's information as parent two, make sure throughout this form you stay with mom as parent one and dad as parent two. For parent tax information, we want you to use the IRS data retrieval, which is simply a link between FAFSA and IRS that moves the information over automatically. So they'll click here, click link to IRS. The parent will now need to type in their FSA ID. Parents, this is your tax information. We need your permission. In other words, we need your signature, your FSA ID, in order to complete this. Click link to IRS, proceed to IRS. If everything works, this is the screen that will let you know. About halfway down says transfer. Click the little gray box, click transfer now. What you will see is for most of the tax questions, it will now say transferred from the IRS. So there's no numbers. That's a security feature, so nobody can hack in and steal your tax information, but it did work. The numbers are there. This question will follow immediately. It does not pre-populate from the data transfer. This is asking, okay, we know the total income, but now I want to know how much did mom make and how much did dad make? So it's a question you will go to the W-2s and look at mom's income and dad's and list them then individually. This page is asking about parent assets. Assets, just real quickly, basically cash in the bank, savings accounts, checking accounts, real estate other than your primary home, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. Do not include retirement plans. Do not include the value of your primary residence. Do not include anything about life insurance, and do not include items of a personal nature, your cars, your boats, your motorcycle, jewelry, and furs. Anything else is probably an asset and needs to be included. The last question here talks about, do you own an investment farm? You do not. If you live on a farm and work a farm, that's your business, that's your home, but it is not an investment farm. And then the value of a business. Parents, if you own a business and it is a small business, and for purposes of FAFSA, a small business is defined as having less than 100 employees. So if you have a business and you employ 10, 20, 50 people, you will not report anything in that box at all. Put a 0 and move on. Student, you get asked the same questions about your taxes. If you did in fact file a tax return, you will want to link to IRS and go through the same procedure to move your numbers over. It will ask you, even if you did not file taxes, how much did you make from work? So if you work part-time, McDonald's or Starbucks, whatever, be sure to include that information in this line here. You will still get asked about assets. What is your bank accounts? We don't expect you to be owning additional real estate or have stocks and bonds and mutual funds, so likely to be 0. Checking accounts, savings accounts that have both a parent and a student name. So parents, that bank account you opened for your kid when you had that first baby luau and you took all that money and all the money for Christmas and birthdays and put it in there, it's got your name on it too. Banks don't open up bank accounts for infants. That bank account gets reported as a parent asset not a student asset. So anything with both names, put it on the parent side, not the student. Answer a few more questions. You get to the signatures section. We're going to provide our signatures. Once you provide the signatures, congratulations, you've completed the FAFSA. What happens next? Immediately after submitting the FAFSA, the student will receive an email saying, congratulations, we received your FAFSA. About a week later, they'll receive a second email from the department saying, your FAFSA has now been processed. You may log back on to view your student aid report, make changes at any other schools, do whatever you need to do. We recommend that you log back on, look at your student aid report, read the first page. If there's problems, if something didn't work, it will tell you on the first page what's wrong. You now have the opportunity to fix it. We also recommend that you save a PDF copy to your computer. This you will then be able to upload into the scholarships and additional financial aid applications that you're going to be doing. Do not worry about sending it to the schools. We get it automatically when you include us on your application. So we've got it. Make sure that you pay attention to any communications coming from the school. I promise you, I will not bother you with junk mail. I don't have junk mail. I don't have time to send you junk mail. If I am sending you communication, and it won't be mail, by the way, it'll be email, but it means I need something from you. I need a signature. I need another piece of paper. And until you get it to me, you're not going to get your money. So that's the only reason I'm bothering you. My job is great. I give away money. I want to give away money. I do my best to give away as much money as I can, but you got to make it easy for me. Give me what I need. So pay attention to communication. Eventually, you'll receive an award notification from the school that puts dollar signs and numbers down and says, based on your information, this is what you are eligible for. Students, you must now either accept or decline those individual award items. Special circumstances, if the FAFSA is not asking you the right questions, then you need to contact the financial aid office. You cannot change the questions on the FAFSA. You cannot write notes in the margin. There's no place for you to explain. So one that we are certainly facing quite a bit right now is reductions in income. FAFSA is going to ask you for your 2019 income. A lot of people have had hours reduced, they've lost jobs, they've been laid off, and their 2020 income is going to be nowhere near what 2019 was. If that is the case, it is the financial aid office at the school you're going to be attending that you need to talk to. Wait till you get accepted. Not going to help if you haven't been accepted at the school yet. Narrow it down to the school you want to go to, and then contact us and talk to us. We have a procedure and a policy in place to be able to make those adjustments. You're going to have to document it. You're going to have to put it in writing. You're going to have to fill out a form. You're going to have to jump through the hoops. But once you do, we then can go back onto your FAFSA, adjust your numbers, and recalculate your eligibility. I do want you to know the school's decision is final. There is no appeal to a school's decision. I want to invite our sister from the mainland here, welcome to the islands, girl, to talk a little bit about CSS profile.
Frank, I think that since the FAFSA covers, you covered a lot of really great ground, and it's really sort of applicable to most, if not all, students. I wonder if we can address a couple of these questions that I think would be really good to address that come in through the chat. And one of them was, during which school year should you fill out the FAFSA? Can you start as a sophomore, or should you only fill it out in your junior and senior year?
Excellent question. Your FAFSA is done in your senior year, beginning October of your senior year. To be honest, it doesn't hurt to do it in your junior year, but it doesn't help you. You're kind of wasting your time. Practice, we call it practice, but it's your senior year is when you complete the FAFSA.
Senior year. And what if you're 18 years old and not living with parents? Does that just sort of depend then on what you're filling out in the FAFSA that you would, yeah.
Unless you are active duty military, a veteran, married, have your own children, you will still be considered a dependent student for FAFSA purposes, and your parents' information must be included.
Do you remember if, so we're recording this meeting, do you remember if Leigh said that we'll be posting it somewhere?
I do not remember, I'm sorry.
I think the students will have access to the recording if they go on to this website, StriveScan. I think all the students will receive an email regarding that information.
Okay, great, thank you. And so the CSS profile is something that is used by schools, including the one that I'm working at and the school I worked at before. Schools will ask for this documentation often in addition to the FAFSA, so that they can gather more information about your financial circumstances. And then it gives the school an opportunity to, it gives the school an opportunity to look at your circumstances in such a way that helps them and assist them with awarding your financial aid. So this CSS profile is administered by the College Board, and you'll just want to check to see which schools are requiring it or asking for it. But it's not used by every school. So majority of the time you're going to be using the FAFSA. And so it's an online process, again, through the College Board. Schools will often have those kinds of instructions specific on their site, so you want to pay close attention to that. Next slide. And so just a couple of things about the profile that I wanted to mention is that there is a cost to it. The first application is $25, and then you will pay $16 for any additional reports to other colleges that you're applying to that, again, require it. So don't send it to a school that's not asking for it. You can ask for fee waivers through the CSS profile, through the College Board, but you also may want to ask the college that is requesting the profile if they're able to help you out with a fee waiver. And for documentation, you're going to need some completed tax returns. This is all on the CSS website, but just I wanted to mention this so you know that similarly with the FAFSA, you're going to want to have documentation on you. And then the other thing that I wanted to just include here, because I come across this a bit when students are trying to fill this out, if you have a family with separated or divorced parents, you want to pay attention to what the college is the specific college is asking you for. It could vary. Some will require information from both of your biological parents, and some may not. So it can be individualized past that point. And then sort of to what Frank mentioned about the form asking for parent 1 and parent 2, I just wanted to mention that the reason that I think the shift happened from a label of mom and dad to parent 1, parent 2 was simply to honor that families are definitely come in all kinds of shapes, sizes, and folks. So I think it was really great that not only did the FAFSA and other applications, including college applications, move to that, but yeah, I think it's important just to acknowledge that families are coming in all kinds of ways. But the point is, there's a lot of people that are going to be involved in this process, students, especially your parents, so make sure that you're really, really nice to them so that they are going to help you out with these steps. And I think that was it.
Thank you, Nikki. Hey, gang, I'll tell you as a parent of a college student, I have personal experience with this. I can sit down and complete a FAFSA in a matter of minutes. I mean, and you will sit down and complete it in one sitting. It's 30 to 60 minutes to complete a FAFSA. The CSS profile will take you several days to complete. There's a lot of information you've got to gather and put in. So don't get stressed out over it. Take your time. When it starts to become stressful, save it, get out of there, take a break, go have dinner, and come back to it tomorrow. You'll have time, start it early so that you can get through it. We do offer a full version of this session for financial aid nights. It's about an hour-and-a-half session every Wednesday night throughout the rest of October and into 2 weeks in November, where we do go through the complete FAFSA and FSA ID in detail. Registration links, if you're interested, you can find it on the following 2 websites, pacfa.org and collegeiswithinreachhawaii.com. Both of these sites have a link to register for any of our Wednesday sessions. If you have questions that we are unable to answer today, I want to make sure that you know about FAFSA@hawaii.edu. This is a statewide email that was set up to answer anybody's questions about anything on the FAFSA. So I don't care where you're going to school. I don't care what stage you're at. It doesn't matter. Parent, student, returning students. If you have questions or get stuck on your FAFSA, contact this email. I'll give you the insider's tip. The people behind the curtain at this are Gus and I. So we are the ones that are answering these questions, and we do it within the day. We will get back to you, except on Sunday. We don't generally work on Sundays, so give us a break. But other than that, we will get right back to you. We have the capability of obviously emailing you answers to your questions, as well as calling you if it's more complicated. And we can do Zoom meetings if we need to do that as well. But we will get you the answers you need. Please understand this is general FAFSA information. It is not institutional. So if you have specific questions about awards at the school you're going to be attending, we would then refer you to that institution's financial aid office. So at this point, I think we're good. And let's take a look at some more questions we may have.
Yeah, I think, you know what, I'm going to just play moderator here because I've been looking at the questions, and I'm going to feed you questions. So folks, if your question is super specific, I would advise you take full advantage of the offer from Frank and Gus, because I can tell you there are probably not many other places that are going to open themselves up and become resources for you no matter where you're applying. So definitely take advantage of their generosity. So one of the questions that I think might be good to address in general, what if I don't have a second parent? They are alive but not involved. Would I still fill out their information on the FAFSA?
Not on the FAFSA, you won't. You'll include the information on the parent with whom you live only. That's it.
Live only. Okay. And then somebody's asking, what should I do if I recorded retirement savings in the investment section and sent it to my first 10 schools?
If I'm understanding this question correctly, you've reported the value of a retirement plan in your savings or in the question about bank accounts. That is an error, which means you may correct it. So once the FAFSA is processed and you're able to access your student aid report, you will want to go log back in as a returning user, go to corrections, and adjust that number.
And I think this one is good for those folks that have multiple children who are college bound, or students who have already headed off. Someone's asking, I filled out the FAFSA application about 4 years ago for my wife. Do I need to create another account for my daughter?
Your daughter will need to complete the FAFSA. She will need to get an FSA ID. If you or your wife have your FSA ID, you will not get another one. You'll use your existing FSA ID, but your daughter must get her own FSA ID.
So if there are multiple students in a family, every student needs their own, but if you are the parent or that person is a dependent of yours in the household, you can use any existing one you've had.
Yes, yeah, parents. So if you got 5 kids going to college, condolences, you're going to be really poor for a very long time, but you still only have to have one FSA ID. And you know what? Because we're there, I got to show you something. I skipped it. This is the congratulations, end of FAFSA, you submitted, you're doing good. On my screen, on the left-hand side, lower right-hand dark blue box, it says, do you have brothers or sisters who need to complete the FAFSA? So parents, if you got 2 kids going to college and you need to do 2 FAFSAs, one for each child, do one, and then click on this blue box. What it will do is create a second FAFSA for your second student and move over parental information. So it will stop you from having to go back in and do the data retrieval and enter all your information again. It will automatically transfer it to a new FAFSA, type in the student's name, social security, and date of birth, and you can save it. And you've just saved yourself 30 minutes worth of time. Unfortunately, this is the only chance you have to do this. It's that you can't get to this option anywhere else in the system. So if you miss it on this page, too bad. I'm sorry. You just got to start over. I mean, okay, so you got to spend another 30 minutes, but this is just such a cool shortcut. I had to show it to you. All right, sorry.
Yeah. This is a good question. And I think this one might be for Gus, as you covered scholarships. If I receive a scholarship from one of the Hawaii scholarship resources, but I'm applying for mainland college, will they still be applicable?
So the standard answer in financial aid is it depends. So it really depends on the specific scholarship that the student is applying to and their eligibility and requirement information. Yeah.
Okay.
But my advice is to apply. It's like what Michael Jordan always said, you know, you miss all the shots you don't take. So apply.
Yes. All right. And then somebody's asking, what is the maximum household income for applying for FAFSA?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question to which there is no answer, I'm afraid. I mean, the formula, just so you know, the formula, if you print it, is a half an inch thick. There's so many things that are taken into consideration, not only household income, but the age of the older parent, how many in the household, how many going to college, that it's not a fixed number. And you're not going to know what you're eligible for until you submit the form. Keep in mind, even if you're not going to be eligible for the awards that are for the neediest of the needy, the federal Pell Grant, the SEOG or supplemental grants, the scholarships, for example, you can't apply to any of the scholarships at a white community foundation until you submit your FAFSA, regardless of what you're eligible for as far as a Pell Grant. Same with institutional aid. Institutional aid is going to require that you submit the FAFSA. So even if you're not getting federal awards, you will still want to get the FAFSA submitted.
And then this question, what do you recommend for students whose parents won't be helping with college costs if they do not qualify for much need-based aid?
A parent's refusal to cooperate with the student hurts only the student. Unfortunately, the student is not going to be eligible for aid because of a parent's refusal to participate in the process. The student, I mean, they can make the appeal, they can talk to the financial aid office, they could possibly become eligible for a $2,000 unsubsidized loan. That's it. They won't be eligible for anything else. Their FAFSA will actually reject, and they would have to deal with the financial aid office to even get that. So again, not participating really hurts the student's chances. It doesn't mean the parents have to take out loans. It doesn't mean the parents have to do anything or commit to anything except provide the information to let the student submit or complete and submit the FAFSA.
You know, on that note, I just wanted to point out that this year, the community colleges gave out $500 to students who were enrolled in the spring and were enrolling in the fall. And the only thing you had to do was to complete your FAFSA to be eligible for this $500 additional award this year. With COVID happening and all of the impacts that are happening to families, students and families, submitting the FAFSA is your first step to the financial aid process and should be done regardless of income and regardless of what you think you might qualify for. Just as Frank said, you'll be eligible for all opportunities instead of just a few, in addition to just the free money that institutions are throwing out there sometimes to support students.
Again, folks, for the time that we have left, I'm just trying to address questions that can be applicable in general to most attendees. And this one seems it may be to some extent. So somebody's asking, my dad is not tech savvy. Can my sister make an FSA ID for me, or does it need to be my parent?
Oh, yeah, great question. And I'm going to give you the federal line. It is illegal for anybody to make an FSA ID for anybody else. You are required by federal law to make your own FSA ID. So if in fact your sister creates the FSA ID for your parents, don't tell me, please. If I don't know, I don't have to do anything about it. So just don't tell me about it.
Plausible deniability.
Absolutely, yes.
Goes a long way. And then somewhat related, what if as a parent I forgot my FAFSA ID? How can folks recover account information if that's possible?
Log back on to fsaid.ed.gov. When you log on to the opening page, there are two tabs. One says create an FSA ID. The other says modify my ID. Click on the modify my ID. And at that point, you have the opportunity to say, I forgot my username, I forgot my password. It will more than likely send you security codes to either your cell phone as a text message or your email, or you may have to answer your security questions. But look, parents, it happens all the time. It takes a little bit extra effort on your part, but we know you're not going to remember it from one year to the next. None of us do. I don't remember mine. I mean.
And then maybe perhaps Gus, this one's for you about scholarships. The college I've already decided on has low tuition costs, plus the FAFSA covers that tuition. Should and can I still apply for scholarships? Where does the money you don't use for college go? What do you do with it?
Unmute, Gussie boy.
You're on mute.
Unmute. Yes, there you go. You know the route. There you go.
Sorry. All right. The answer is absolutely yes. Should you? Can you? Yes, you should. And yes, you can apply for different scholarships. Remember, you're raising money going towards a total cost of attendance number. Each institution that you are choosing to go to school has this total cost of attendance number, which is over and above the basic tuition rates that you're seeing to pay for college. You want to get as many scholarships as possible because you can always turn down scholarships. You can't reapply for scholarships after the deadline has happened. So my answer to that question is absolutely yes. Apply, apply, apply.
I would echo that.
And to the second part of that question, if you receive more scholarships than institutional fees, the money will go to you. And keep in mind that in order to be a successful college student, you have to live someplace, which means you can help mom and dad with the rent or the mortgage, and you have to eat. It's one of the things we know about college students. If we don't feed them and we don't shelter them, they're not going to make it successfully through school. And funds may be used for that. So I didn't want to do that.
I think we'll have two more questions and maybe close out with some words of wisdom from the panelists. So this question here, do you include funds in the Hawaii 529 in the amount of savings? So I guess this is going towards a college savings plan that somebody might have started for the student.
Yeah, 529 plans would generally have two names on it. They'll have the student's name for whom the account was opened, but there will also be a custodial person, which is generally the parent. It is then reported as a parent asset. The only exception to that is that if it is grandma's name and the student's name, then it is not reported at all. Otherwise, it will automatically be reported as a student asset. I'm sorry, a parent asset. I said that wrong. Oh my God. It's a parent asset.
So I think, so folks, I would really encourage you, if we weren't able to get to your specific question, it's, again, really terrific that Frank and Gus have made themselves available to folks, even no matter where you're applying. So we have a couple minutes left and we want to be good on time. So I might ask my financial aid friends if you have any closing advice for our attendees and whoever else might be watching this thereafter. Frank, do you want to go first?
Well, I'll keep it short and simple. Apply. And just get it in. Not sure where you're going, not sure if you're going, not sure what you're eligible for, apply anyway. If you get stuck and you answer a question wrong, don't worry about it. Let me know, FAFSA@hawaii.edu. I can fix anything. There's nothing you can do on that form that we can't fix one way or the other. We like to avoid that, so ask me before, but get your applications in and see where it goes from there.
How about you,
Absolutely. I want to recommend that you use a personal private email address, one that you use all the time just to receive financial aid. With everything going online these days, all the communications is done through email. And sometimes your school email will go away after you graduate. So make sure that you have a personal email that you're using for all of your communications, and check that email to make sure that the information that's coming to you, you need to respond to, and that award information, everything that we're using to communicate to students is coming through that email. So yeah, use a personal, professional, private email. No honey girl 808 or hot pants 808. I've seen hot pants 808. Yeah.
That was mine. What you talking about?
So, and I think from the college end, I was seeing a trend of questions asking, sort of what happens from the FAFSA onto the college. I would just really encourage you to stay organized and ask these questions of your colleges, even if you have an answer from another college. It's, these can be very individualized, not only for the family, but also for the college that's making these awards. We have various sources from which the money will come. And so it's just really good to make sure that you continue to ask these questions You know, I would encourage you as well that there are folks in admission offices who help out our friends in financial aid, because our friends in financial aid are taking care of students as you are continuing on in the college. So there's just many people who are eager to support you folks. But I think we have just sailed in at 45 minutes, Lei.
You're awesome.
You guys just like hit it right on the dot. We did not get cut off.
Did we nail it or what?
Panelists, such information is valuable and everybody can use it to however you guys need to. Good luck, everyone. Thank you for giving of your time, panelists, and for students making the time yourselves. You guys could be doing lots of other things. So congratulations. I will now end the session. Aloha, everyone.
Aloha, everybody.
Aloha.
Good luck.
Thank you.